Hello. I would like to talk to you today on this day of filming, 157th anniversary of the first day of the Battle of Gettysburg, about one of the stranger participants in this first day. John Lawrence Burns. Now, what makes John Lawrence Burns so interesting is partially his age. Him being one of the oldest participants in the battle at 69 years of age. Nice. But also being a veteran of the War of 1812. He fought in the Battle of Niagara. Some know it by another name. I call it the Battle of Niagara. Along with some other battles. That's just the biggest one he participated in. Additionally, he served as a teamster for the U.S. Army in the Mexican-American War. As he had requested to join the Army as a soldier again, but the Army denied him this as he was already too old for frontline duty. He was born in New Jersey, but moved to Gettysburg. At the time of the battle, he was the constable. Now, for those of you who don't know all of the backstory, the Battle of Gettysburg did not merely happen through the town with nothing happening prior. For about a week before the battle, Gettysburg was occupied. And during the time when it was occupied, John Burns, being the constable, decided to remind the Confederates that this was his town. He was the constable, and he was going to enforce the laws and stop the Confederates from, well, they would call it foraging, he would call it looting. Now, they did offer to pay for the goods they were taking in Confederate currency. Now, the problem with this is not only that Confederate currency had no real backing to it, and it was constantly diluted by the inflation rate of Confederate currency, but also that they were offering this to people in Pennsylvania. Who are they going to trade it with? The next problem, So he complains, makes a big fuss about it too. The Confederates say, look man, you're causing too much of a fuss. we're going to put you in prison and let you out when we leave. They do let him out when they leave, the morning of the battle. Well, actually, there's conflicting accounts on that. They let him out before the battle. Now, at the beginning of the battle, it was to the north and the west of the town, mostly. There was some stuff on others, it consolidated in. However, Burns went back to his house, got on his suit, grabbed his flintlock and powder horn, and went off to join the fighting. Now, he got to a company, I'm trying to remember the unit size. He got to a captain, asked to join in with that man's troops. The man said, "Sure, we know all the men we have." Soon after, Burns saw a wounded Union soldier. He went to attend to the man's wounds and picked up the man's gun. The modern rifled musket being not only more accurate, but using cartridges, versus him where he had to use the powder horn. This made it more efficient, and he moved around with a few different regiments, including fighting with the Iron Brigade for a small amount of time. Now, he eventually was wounded. It says that he had some light wounds to the chest, which to me sounds like shrapnel, because I can't figure out how else you get light wounds to the chest, but I couldn't read anything deeper on that. Next, he had a leg wound, which did, after this battle, force him to use crutches for a short period of time. However, after he was wounded, he was able to fall back behind one of the lines of retreating Union soldiers. They were not quite to the town yet. They were at one of the farms on the edge of town. He was able to ditch the rifle and bury the ammunition. Now, why this was important is because had he been found firing upon the Confederates out of uniform, or had it been found that he had been out of uniform firing upon the Confederates, he could have been hung as someone committing perfidy. Or basically as a spy. Not exactly a spy, but if he was found in civilian clothes firing upon Confederate soldiers, the Confederates would have hung him, just as happened when there were when the Union invaded the South, and there were people who were clearly making no effort at a uniform, in fact, trying to hide the fact that they had been shooting at the Union, because there needs to be a clear distinction in war between civilians and soldiers. The reason why it's illegal to hide as a civilian if you're shooting, or vice versa, is to protect civilians. Because if you see that there are people in civilian uniforms shooting at you, it's no longer don't shoot civilians, because now you don't know if they're going to shoot back or not. But fortunately, he survived, and he actually walked side by side Lincoln after Lincoln delivered the Gettysburg Address. They walked through the town along the route that the Union used during their slow retreat through the town. And that is the story of John Lawrence Burns, and these birds keep on talking, so I'm not sure how this video is gonna go.